Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Good morning, First Unitarian. Good morning. Welcome to those of you here in the sanctuary, and also welcome to those of you from wherever you are online. We're glad you're here today with us on this journey of the mind, heart, and spirit. Whoever you are, whomever you love, and whatever your background or culture, you are welcome here. Before the call to worship today, I'd like to warmly welcome our guest musicians this morning, Emily and Tad Coriath. Emily and Tad will present a mostly classical art song recital, Lit by Love, here in the sanctuary this coming Friday, March 18th at 7 p.m. The program will include selections by Brahms, Mahler, Schubert, and Debussy, as well as contemporary composers Edie Hill and Elizabeth Alexander. The concert is free, but registration is requested. There's a link in the first announce and on the FUSD Facebook page. A free will offering will be taken the night of the event. Emily currently serves as the assistant professor of voice at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and Tad currently serves as music director at Boulder Valley UU Fellowship in Lafayette. Thanks for being here. Our call to worship today is from the American writer, feminist, womanist, librarian, poet, and civil rights activist, Audre Lorde. One of the hardest things to accept is learning to live within uncertainty and neither deny it nor hide behind it. Most of all, to listen to the messages of uncertainty without allowing them to immobilize me, nor keep me from the certainties of those truths in which I believe. I turn away from any need to justify the future, to live in what has not yet been, believing, working for what has not yet been, while also living fully in the present now.
Whoever you are and wherever you are welcome here. This song is for you. We are many, we are one, the light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul, a place has been made for you. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. No one stays the same. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold, 'cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, stars light up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart will heal, but never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold, 'cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Oh, rain comes from the clouds, the sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Oh, rain comes from the clouds, and the sun lights up the sky, and music
Good morning. So if you're young or young at heart and you want to come up front, you're welcome to come join me. We're going to talk about change this morning, and not pennies and dimes, although the stewardship campaign has room for that change if you're inclined that way. I mean change, that things change, that we get older, we live in different places, we go to maybe a new school, or outgrow our favorite shoes, or we start to love new people. Life is full of change, and sometimes that change means letting things go. Do you know a song about letting things go? Does anyone in here? Okay. All right, we're going to let that one go. Sometimes it takes practice to get good at letting go. And in one particular spiritual path, there are some folks who practice very intentionally about how to let things go. So there are Buddhist monks who have a very specific practice of making sand mandalas, and I've brought for you some pictures of mandalas, just a couple I found this morning very quickly on the internet. Here's another one that's very simple. And a few years ago in RE, we printed out a couple of these mandalas, and I brought a whole lot of colored sand. And then I got real crafty and I found these art tubes that I filled up with sand so that we could try to color in mandalas with colored sand in RE. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Cora, do you remember doing that? Were you there for that? You don't think you were? No? I have pictures, so we can go back and look. It's been a while, but I still have all of the supplies upstairs, and it's so fun to walk in here and be able to find exactly what I'm looking for right when I need it. I love that. But I still have a lot of the sand and a lot of these tubes, so in the next couple of weeks, maybe when we're outside doing RE, we can try to do this outside. So what we found when we tried to do this in RE was that sand is really hard to control and keep inside of the lines. And we struggled, but we still made some really cool looking art on our papers with the sand. And at the end of it all, we practiced letting go after we'd worked so hard by sweeping it together. And that was because we watched a video of Buddhist monks who worked for weeks, hours and hours of their life, meticulously controlling grains of sand into beautiful works of art. And at the end of it, they let it all go. They brush it away. Often they don't let people even watch the process, but sometimes they do. And usually they don't let people record it, but this one time they did. And mostly they don't let people take photographs of it because it is a practice in making art and then letting it go. So one of my very best friends who I met here and who embraces change in her life, the Reverend Jeannie Shiro, said that sometimes when a mandala is created, it is done in private as a meditative act. And at other times, people are invited to come and watch the process. And Jeannie had the good fortune once to observe and watch for an hour and a half while the monks wore masks, so that they would not blow the sand that they used in tiny funnels to drop each grain into place, creating an astounding and amazing work of art. Every detail is spiritually symbolic, and the monks labor to make every detail perfect. And when they are done, one of them steps up and sweeps it away. 2 weeks of work gone with a broom stroke, and you would never know it had been there. The mandala is a tangible symbol of change, of impermanence, of embracing it and dedicating yourself to the moment without grasping. And so, I'm going to invite you to imagine that your day today is a mandala that you are creating. Tomorrow you get to start a new one, and tonight you can let your day go at bedtime. Today is a work in progress, and it has been beautiful sharing this time together, creating our mandalas with each other. Thank you for being here. And if you would like to color a mandala, there are some in the Peaceful Play space Any age is welcome to come and color with us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Erin. We've got a hymn to sing together now, so I'll invite you to rise in body or in spirit as you feel called. We're going to sing Where Do We Come From? And if you're familiar with this hymn, it has 4 different parts. So Charlotte and Alicia and I will sing all 4 parts twice each in a row. And then just pick whichever part you like the best. We'll sing a little bit of everything. We'll mix and match. If you pick one but you think another one sounds cooler, you can choose that. So feel free to make it your own experience. And I'll give you nice, clear reminders when we're starting to get close to the end so that nobody feels lost and abandoned singing extra when nobody else is. This is Where Do We Come From? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we? Choose your own adventure. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery, where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where? 4 more times. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we? 3 more. Where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we going? Last time. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Well done. New person panic. Do we have special words before the offering, or shall I just sing? Nobody knows. It's a mystery, a riddle and a mystery. Oh, here she comes. Wonderful. I just need to be a little more patient. It's a spiritual practice, friends.
As always, we're just a little late. But anyway, I'm Sally Isaacson, and I'm your assistant treasurer. And every week, I get to give my approval to sending money out, Excel, people like that. And I have a wonderful time doing it because I know that each of those checks support this organization. And so I also look at the money coming in, but I have more fun sending money out. And one of the things we do is send money out to the 2 organizations each month that we've chosen for our Giving in Action. Other small nonprofits that could use our support. Now, this is also a nonprofit, and we also can use support. Now, I know that sometime in the last 2 weeks, you've gotten a welcome call from your ambassador from the Stewardship Committee, who asked you, how are you doing? how are you doing during this weird time? Oh, excuse me. And what can you tell us that you need from us? Or that you would like to give of your time? What kind of interests do you have? And those are really important questions because during this weird time of pandemic and being separated and not here and online and things like that, we don't get the same sense of community. And community is the most important part. Well, not the most important part. Spiritual should be right up there. But anyway, very important part of being part of this church. And one of the ways to get to know people is to join committees, go to coffee hour and talk to people you've never met, all those things. And we're going to have coffee hour today outside. And so go up to somebody you don't know. You could take off your mask, you're outside, and wow, for the first time, you're seeing the other half of the face. And it's like, wow, I think I knew you 2 years ago. So anyway, I invite you all to consider making a pledge, number one. Number two, supporting a church with an offering today, which is a red basket out there. And number three, enjoy coffee hour. Thank you so much.
Tad and I have a song to present during the offering from our recital coming up on Friday evening. This is a piece by Franz Schubert, who is one of the sort of innovators of a form called art song that you'll hear a lot of on Friday night if you choose to be with us. So because it's in German, I'd like to give you just a little bit of the translation. And we thought it fit so beautifully with the theme of where do we find security? How do we deal with all of this lasting change? So, you are rest and gentle peace. You are longing and what satisfies longing. I consecrate to you a dwelling place in my eyes and in my heart, full of joy and sorrow. Come commune with me and close the gates softly behind you. Drive all other pain from my heart so that I may be full of your joy. Here, the temple of my eyes is brightened by your radiance. Fill it completely. That's how I feel about it, too.
Der Frieden Morning. Welcome to all of you here. Welcome to all of you at home. Just a couple of things I want to let you know about before I do our prayer this morning. As Sally mentioned, we're going to have coffee today. So when the service is over, please gather some coffee. We'll gather outside on the front step. Secondly, I want to just let you know, because a couple people have asked me, what's going on with the church administrator position since Glenn resigned and left. And the short answer to that is that Rhonda Williamson, who was our stewardship coordinator, has stepped into that role on an interim basis. And the plan is we're going to finish the stewardship campaign over the next month or so, and then we will spend some time just kind of reassessing the church administrator position in light of this new reality we're all living in with COVID and social restrictions and so on and so forth. And then we will we'll go into a hiring process probably in the month of June for a long-term, full-time replacement. And maybe that person will be Rhonda, we don't know yet. Rhonda's gonna see how she likes it in that job, and we'll see how the job evolves over time. And then the last thing, what's the last thing I was gonna tell you? I have a note. Yes, the last thing. With tremendous appreciation and gratitude to Diane Hoffman and Greg Wimpy, they have been just about single-handedly, not entirely, but just about single-handedly managing the video and sound for us for months and months now, and they could really use some help. So let's try and be a little more equitable in how we treat our wonderful volunteers, and if that's something you could help with, we'll provide all the training and everything you need. It's not onerous, it's totally doable, but if that's something you can do and would be interested in doing, please see Rhonda Williamson in the office after service. Thank you. A few joys and concerns of our larger community. I want to hold up that Sally Madsen had a pretty major surgery this past Wednesday. There was a little complication or misunderstanding about how long she was going to be staying in the hospital after this day, but she is home now, she's recovering, and we wish her all the healing and speedy healing that she deserves. I want to mention that Ron Miles, a very well-known Denver musician for many decades, teacher, professor, and who has performed at this congregation on multiple occasions. Ron passed away this past week. He was only 58 years old, and that's a great loss for the Denver music community and for some of us personally. I want to hold up that Randall Loeb, a longtime member friend of our congregation. Randall, through no fault of his own, is losing his housing very soon, like within the next month, and is very uncertain what his future is going to look like. If you have any ideas on that, please let me know or let Randall know. But in any case, please hold Randall in your thoughts and prayers and wish for him the safety and stability that he craves and deserves. And I want to welcome Peter and Cynthia Swanson, who, as of this morning, are our very newest members of First Unitarian Denver. So they signed the membership book today. Welcome, Peter and Cynthia. I want to mention, and I want to hold up and be in solidarity with all the people who will be hurt by the ignorance of Don't Say Gay legislation in Florida, by the restrictions to women's health care in Texas and in other states, by the banning of books and history in Tennessee and other states. The world just does not have to be that divisive.
And diversity, I'm sorry to tell some of those folks, just will not be legislated out of existence. And lastly, I want to pray for and hold in our hearts all the refugees out there in this world, especially those refugees who have been displaced by war and conquest. And certainly we've been hearing a lot about Ukraine, but Ukraine is not the only place where this is happening and where refugees are being created by the millions. So I want to hold up Ukraine, but also Syria and Somalia and Myanmar and the Uyghurs of Western China and the Ethiopians from the Tigray region and all of the people in the Palestinian territories. There are more, but that's a good start. By way of a prayer today, I want to share some words that were written by my colleague, Reverend Michael Slack, who is a community minister for worship and spiritual care. Michael called this prayer a prayer for uncertain times. Enter into this moment with us, breathing deeply, calling upon all the sources of love and light that are within ourselves and outside of ourselves as we pray. Spirit of life, sources of many names and of no name, allow us in this moment to be aware of the beating of our own hearts. We enter grateful for the people all around us in our neighborhoods, cities, and states, who are doing the good work of making sure that we are fed, healing, smiling, adequately medicated, connected, comforted, and loved on. Grateful for the friends and family chosen and given who are picking up groceries and prescriptions, checking in by phone, writing letters, and going on physically distanced outings. Grateful for the local officials who are heeding the call to flatten the curve by asking us, sometimes requiring us, to stay home. Help us in this time of uncertainty, fear, and anger to know that it's okay to feel all these things. Remind us that connection and care are the keys to our strength in times like this. Give us what we need to hold one another in the sadness that may creep up on us when we least expect it, and support one another in the distress and anger over what is happening to all the folks who are sick and dying. In this space, we can surrender all our greatest hopes for the ways we can care for one another now, and all our deep sadness and pain at the way people and systems can do unfathomable harm. We may not know how to capture the essence of our prayers. We may not know what happens to them. We may not even be sure about who or what may be listening when we pray or direct our energy in particular ways. All that we ask today is that we be surrounded and held, both in our clarity and in our uncertainty, in our hopefulness and in our distress, with love and with compassion. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
Oh, friends, there is so much on our minds and in our hearts. So we'd like to offer this song by Allie Halbert. It has two parts and they repeat a lot. So if you latch on to any piece of it and would like to sing along, please feel free to do so. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy will you ease this pain? Loosen, baby, and holy don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles. Will you ease this pain? Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go.
Thank you for that. That was lovely. Our Whole Soul Living theme for this month is memory and hope. And the topic today is kind of coping with this uncertainty that we're living in. I want to begin with a short poem by Jeff Foster. It goes like this. You will lose everything. Your money, your power, your fame, your success, perhaps even your memory. Your looks will go. Loved ones will die. Your own body will eventually fall apart. Everything that seems permanent is absolutely impermanent and will be smashed. Experience will gradually, or not so gradually, strip away everything it can strip away. Waking up means facing this reality with open eyes and no longer turning away. Right now, we stand on sacred and holy ground. For that which will be lost has not yet been lost. And realizing this is the key to unspeakable joy. whoever or whatever is in your life right now has not yet been taken away from you. This may sound obvious, but really knowing it is the key to everything. The why and how and wherefore of existence, impermanence, has already rendered everything and everyone around you so deeply holy and significant and worthy of your heartbreaking gratitude. Loss has already transformed your life into an altar. Okay, so that's not exactly a rousingly joyous way to begin a sermon. But let's be honest with each other and blunt. These are not rousingly joyous times. Amen? These are worrisome and frightening and anxiety-producing times for everyone. For lots of really good reasons. War, global warming and climate change, and the catastrophic implications that has for food production and livable land and climate refugees. Add to that global pandemics and an encroaching fascism right here in the United States that may have already made us living in an essentially ungovernable country. Add to that the lessons of history and what happens to ordinary people when the concentration of power and wealth into the hands of very few people gets out of control, as it clearly is. I won't dwell on all that. You get the idea. This is the world we are living in. This is the world we have created. This is the world every one of us is coping with in one way or another. All that is true. And still, I am struck by the poetry and profundity of the last line from that poem. Loss has already transfigured your life into an altar. There is truth in that. But I don't think it feels that way very often. The poem speaks to impermanence. How everything we love, everything we think we are, everything we value, even the things we would die for, certainly everything material, will fade with time and ultimately disintegrate. So how do we live with that? How do we be at home in the world? How do we, as the poem says, how do we know right now that right now we stand on sacred and holy ground? So I'm going to share a few things I've found as I have pondered and researched this question, and I offer these as some spiritual advice, not just emotional coping skills, but really a few key ingredients of the spiritual maturity and resilience we all need to be able to feel at home in this very uncertain world. And the first one, and I know this is a little counterintuitive, but it's good spiritual wisdom, is stop resisting the feelings. It is a spiritual, emotional truth that what we resist persists. Amen? What we resist actually gains power over our inner lives until we end up, even if we're not aware of it, playing kind of an endless game of whack-a-mole, right? As our fears and anxieties and neuroses pop up in ever more subtle, unexpected, and creative ways, sabotaging our relationships, sabotaging our growth, pushing us into foolish decisions about money, resources, time, emotional energy, or just as bad, tuning out our feelings, going effectively numb, so that we might even not know what we feel. And our precious days in this life pass in a blur of a low-level ennui. No highs, no lows, not much of anything. All the world's wisdom literature, all the modern psychological science tells us that facing things is the better way, the healthier path, acceptance of what is. Meeting the world where it is, meeting ourselves where we are, with all our insecurities and neuroses and all our fears, felt, acknowledged, and owned in the present. This is the way to healing and wholeness. I saw something, I actually didn't put this in the sermon, but I saw something the other day. It was a comedian who noted that, I don't even remember the punchline or what the context of it was, but what he shared was, you could go up to almost anybody, almost anywhere in the world, in some public place, and lean in and whisper, "I know you're a coward." And some part of their inner voice would answer, "How did they know?" Lillian Rubin once wrote a book called The Transcendent Child. It came out of her decades of work as a therapist. She had noticed that while it was true that most children who grow up in abusive, alcoholic, or violent homes tend to grow up to be equally abusive, self-destructive, or violent, but not all of them did. Some children, she noticed, who grew up even in hellish circumstances, grew up to be pretty well-adjusted. Well-adjusted adults, solid self-esteem, loving, intimate relationships, able to make self-aware and sensible decisions. She observed that one of the qualities in these transcendent children is that even from a very young age, they don't shut down, as probably most of us would, and many do. They never turn their feelings off. They don't dissociate, and they don't internalize what's happening to them as their own fault. Psychologists now call this self-differentiation and emotional intelligence, which of course come more easily to some than others, but all the science agrees these are learnable, teachable skills. In fact, learning these skills is probably why many of us have engaged in therapy at one time or another in our lives. Another story worth telling is of my older sister. And there's no reason any of you would know this, but my oldest sister is the one that the other four of us agree is the smartest one of the bunch of us. But a while back, when her kids were younger and still at home, she began having panic attacks. She'd wake up in the middle of the night with her heart racing and overwhelmed with feelings of impending doom and catastrophe, sometimes gasping for breath. And she'd get up and she'd pace around the house. She'd do everything she could think of to calm herself down. And it would be hours often before she could get back to sleep, even if she even could get back to sleep. She tried medications, some of which would let her sleep, but also would leave her feeling groggy and out of touch. She tried rigorous exercise. She got really strong and healthy for a while. And while the frequency of the panic attacks went down a little, she felt like the intensity actually went up. She tried therapy, dream work, every conceivable distraction that she could do in the middle of the night without waking everybody else up. This went on for years until she stumbled upon the Buddhist practice of Tonglen. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole Tonglen philosophy this morning, but part of the practice of Tonglen is to just sit with your feelings, all of them, and just let them be. Not push them away, not distract yourself, not fight or flight or freeze or deny or avoid, but just feel them. She said it took a long time, and it scared the pants off her. She'd wake up in the middle of a panic, and she'd try to just stay there in it. She said she could only stand a few seconds of it at first. But with some practice over time, her tolerance increased to 10 seconds, half a minute, a whole minute, and then 10 whole terrifying minutes of letting the panic in her body do whatever it needed to do, and she would just be with it. She said it took about a year, but I think this is so interesting. She said she will tell you today she still sometimes wakes up in a panic attack. They haven't gone away entirely, but she is not afraid of them anymore. She's not afraid of them anymore. She knows from intimate, firsthand, bodily experience, she knows she can handle it. It's not pleasant, but it's not a big deal either. She can get back to sleep in about a half an hour. One important piece of that story I didn't mention is that she did not do this entirely alone. She found Tonglen because she was talking about what was going on with her, with other people, and someone recommended it. And she got through that year, she'll be the first to tell you, by sharing her experience with people who loved her, people who were invested in her well-being, who were checking in, offering encouragement and support. Both those stories about the transcendent children and my beloved sister indicate a core spiritual truth that I invite you to ponder and think on and integrate into your own living in these uncertain times. And that is, the opposite of uncertainty is not certainty. The opposite of uncertainty is presence. The opposite of uncertainty is presence. Being aware, being here now, in this undeniable, unequivocal, ever-loving, present moment. Being aware of this moment, this truth, this breath, this space, these sensations, these precious people, this awareness. As was written in that poem, for that which will be lost has not yet been lost. And realizing this is the key to unspeakable joy. Whoever or whatever is in your life right now has not yet been taken from you. And this may sound obvious, but really knowing it is the key to everything. The why and how and wherefore of existence right now. We stand on sacred and holy ground. To be clear, this acceptance of what is and of who and what and where we are, this acceptance should never be confused with resignation. It's not what I'm talking about. Resignation means accepting something will never get better or never change. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about accepting what is, all of what is, so that we can see and feel and think clearly. And in that awareness, we might decide any number of things need to change. Maybe our habits, our relationships, our work, our consumption, anything at all. But we will make those decisions as fully informed, as fully empowered, and as fully unencumbered by unnecessary anxiety and fear as we are capable of achieving. And so, in short, in this time of uncertainty, we stay at home in the world by staying present to each other, staying present to our own truth, even to our own anxiety and fear. The way out, of course, is through. Now, for those of you, and I know this is some of you, who need something a little more concrete than that, a little more action-oriented for being at home in the world, I don't know of a better list than the one my colleague, Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon, once put together. She said, "Here is my not at all joking, totally serious list for how to survive the end of the world. Get to know your neighbors. Feed them. Let them feed you. Watch each other's kids, grandkids, and pets. Develop the muscle of generosity like you're training for a giving ultramarathon. Share everything you can with everyone who asks, and ask for what you need. Get in touch with your body. You're going to need it. It knows things. Pay attention to what's happening below your neck. Tell the truth. Tell it to yourself first. Sit at the feet of your most vulnerable neighbors and your own most vulnerable places. They have the most to teach you about survival. Listen. Remember your ancestors and the things that they survived. Find the resilience that is your birthright and the courage that made way for your life. Practice taking risks. Show up in every struggle where someone is fighting for their dignity, because that's how we all survive. Learn about reparations and native sovereignty. Double down on exercising, excoriating supremacy systems from your soul. Learn to be tender. Refuse to be hardened. Let your heart be moved every damn time. Root in the place you are. Learn its history. Learn its geography. Learn its seasons. Sing. A lot. Dance. Make art. Make love. Rest luxuriously. Eat pie. The world is ending and beginning now. We are surviving now. Let us love. Let us connect. Let us fight like hell for the dignity of each and all. Amen.
a breath. When the world shut down 2 years ago now, Tad and I had just gotten engaged days before. Surprise! And we were enthralled with making music together. We did not know how to do that. We had a live recital planned that got canceled, of course, as it should have. And so suddenly we came up with the idea of making music on Facebook, and we did a couple live concerts from Tad's piano room in his condo in Westminster. We found this song when we were searching for requests for our third home Quarantini Lounge concert. And it has been with us ever since. It has kind of become our anthem for this time. And it's remarkable. We come back to it every few months, and it's totally different. This is called Hear My Song. It is from a musical called Songs for a New World by Jason Robert Brown. Child, I know you're weary and your eyes want to close, and the days are getting longer. We're not getting any stronger. Trust me, Mama knows. But lie in my arms while you're sleeping and think of the rivers you've crossed. I'll tell you the dreams I've been keeping for moments like this when your hope is lost. Hear my song, it'll help you believe in tomorrow. Hear my song, it'll show you the way you can shine. Hear my song, it was made for the times when you don't know where to go. Listen to the song that I sing, you'll be fine. Child, I know you're frightened and your throat's parched and dry, but just trust in Mama's singing and the gift tomorrow's bringing. Trust it, don't ask why. Just lie in my arms and I'll tell you the things that you know but forget, the lies no one ever could sell you. I know that it's hard, but don't give up yet. Hear my song, it'll help you believe in tomorrow. Hear my song, it'll show you the way you can shine. Hear my song, it was made for the times when you don't know where to go. Listen to the song that I sing, you'll be fine. 'Cause I'll be singing, hold on, hold tight. I know it's dark right now, but just believe somehow that soon there will be light. Hold on, tide will come and we'll get past. You and Mama safe at last. Hear my song, it'll help us get through till tomorrow. Hear my song, it'll help us survive all the pain. Hear my song, it's the one thing I have that has never let me down. Listen to the song that I sing, listen to the words in my heart, listen to the hope I can bring, and we'll start to grow and shine. Listen to the song that I sing and trust me. Ooh. We'll be fine.
After that, please stand as you are willing and able and join us in singing our closing affirmation, and then remain standing if you like for the benediction. Thank you.
Behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars. Throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars.
Our benediction today was written by Diane Ackerman. The great affair, the love affair with life, is to live as variously as possible. To groom one's curiosity like a high-spirited thoroughbred, climb aboard and gallop over the thick, sun-struck hills every day. Where there's no risk, the emotional terrain is flat and unyielding. And despite all its dimensions, valleys, pinnacles, and detours, life will seem to have none of its magnificent geography, only a length. It began in mystery. It will end in mystery. But what a savage and beautiful country lies in between. Our service is ended. Go in peace.